And now it gives me my great pleasure to introduce a phenomenal woman to you. Ann Wilson is a multi-millionaire, but with a difference. And you know what I love about her is when we met for a brief chat about the conference and a cappuccino, she's just a real woman with both feet on the ground, but with an enormous heart and a great one of compassion. So how did Ann make her millions? She didn't have a huge family inheritance or a business that she could sell for millions, and neither did she have a lucky win at the lottery. She simply learned how to master a key ingredient in life, and that is money. However, it wasn't always like that. Despite being highly educated, Ann was completely financially illiterate, and in her 20s found herself swamped with loans, credit card crises, and loads of money drama. Now Ann is financially free, and she is certainly one woman who had a dream, who did something about it, and is now living it. She's a very astute businesswoman. She's got an online financial freedom university. She's written a wonderful book called The Wealth Chef, and the tagline of that book is Recipes to Make Your Money Work so that you don't have to. Please give a resounding applause for Ann Wilson.
Wow, this is amazing to be here. It is such a privilege to look out this room and see all of you here, and it just is an incredible privilege for me to be here. I have had the privilege through my previous career and right now with the freedom of choice that having finally mastered my money gives me, to basically be able to live anywhere in the world, do the work I love, spend my time how I want to spend it. And so I've been living in Paris for the last 3.5 years, and a lot of people ask me, you know, why Paris, Anne? Why were you living there? And I get the short answer is, because I could. But despite loving living there, I just felt so drawn to come back to my amazing country. Although my accent might not sound it, it's a real gemors. Because I've lived in so many places, I am South African. And so late last year, I decided to come home. And I've just finished unpacking in my new home in Johannesburg. And being able to stand on this stage in front of all of you here and look around, I've been listening to some of the incredible achievements and what you'll do. It just feels so great to be back with my people. You know, so thank you for letting me be here. And in the short time I've got to talk about this thing called money. Yeah, let's get it out the closet. You know, it's so interesting. Money is such a key ingredient in our life. You know, each of you in this room, and that's why even another reason I'm thrilled to be here, because you've chosen to be in this room. You've understood the importance of following your dreams and doing something about it. There are thousands of other people who aren't in this room. So just being in this room, saying yes to your dreams, is such a key first start. So huge round of applause for you being here and owning that and taking that action. And I'm incredibly excited. Besides just getting to stand up here and wear red, and I'm very excited about that new red lipstick coming out. I'm definitely going to be in the queue for that. But hopefully by the end of this short time, you'll get to see that mastering your money is significantly easier than most of us are led to believe. If you're like me, I grew up in a family where we didn't really speak about money, except that money didn't grow on trees, or don't be greedy. And I'll share a little bit more about my story. But I really wasn't taught about what to do with money. The only recipe that I was taught was, you know, work hard, and then hopefully somehow it would be there. And it was almost a bit of a dirty subject to speak about. And ironically, people will more comfortably share about some sexual indiscretion on their social media feed than actually just speak openly about money, about debt, about investing, about our hopes and dreams and desires. The fact that money is important for us to have security and certainty for ourselves, our family, those we love. somehow it's just not something we're meant to speak about. But I know that each of you as business owners here already know how important that is. Because ultimately, that's one of the reasons you're here. That's one of the reasons you've got a business, is to get money flowing in. Now, as I said, I've been living in France, and one of the reasons I went there, besides the great food and Paris being a beautiful city, is I wanted to learn French. I thought, how better? Take action, immerse myself. So when I first got there, I didn't speak a word of French. So what do you do when you don't know something? You first get a book, and then maybe a teacher, and you can flounder around, but you've got to start taking action. You've got to start practicing, because you get better the more you do it. Just keeping something in your head without actually putting it into action doesn't let you get this area of mastery. So I thought, okay, so I got the teacher, which was key. I was doing the lessons and the training. I thought I was going to go and try and bake macaroons, good French cooking. And I got one of those instant happiness boxes that has all the mix in it in the box. And you mix the ingredients together. And luckily this one even had pictures on the back as to give me instructions what to do. But there was French around as well. I thought, well, I didn't want to get this wrong. So let me get out good old Google Translate. And I typed the French in. And as I was typing in, it said, monter les œufs. And I went, okay, going in. And then now I know why the French love cooking. Because there on Google Translate, it clearly told me that I needed to mount the egg whites until stiff. Now the thing is, when we start learning about money, it's exactly the same process. We've got to get the teachers, we've got to learn. And sometimes some of it will seem pretty damn weird, but the more we practice, the better it gets. So the great news is, mastering your money, you don't have to mount anything. It's much simpler. So before we get stuck in, I want to ask, why are we here? We are here to celebrate your achievement. The incredible company, Annique, the incredible ingredients we've got in this amazing country, like Rooibos, which is all around us, and how we can turn that magic into something that makes a difference in our lives. I'm here to talk to you about money, but I really want to ask you that next question. Why are we here, as in this life? Because what I discovered on my journey is that really we are each here on an incredible voyage, this voyage called our lives. And what that journey, how it turns out, and whether we are in just a ship floundering around the sea without a rudder or a captain at the helm, or whether we actually are able to ride those waves and go into those incredible destinations and really experience an incredible voyage, really requires us to be the captain of our own ship. And this is so important when it comes to our life. And I believe we are each here to first get very, very clear about what that journey is for us, and then choose to take and be the captain of our helm. Because if we keep wanting other people to guide that ship, it'll never be our journey, and we can just flounder around and waste this incredible thing we have called life. So I want to share with you that money in of itself is not the destination. You might say, well, Anne, what? You're the money woman. Hey, we want the money coming in. Absolutely. Money is absolutely key. But money is not the end. It's an incredibly important ingredient that we need to master to ensure that that voyage is absolutely joyous and we can go to all of those ports. Money is the wind in the sails. Money is the fuel in the engine of that ship. Because you can have the greatest dreams, you can want to get something, but if there's nothing to fuel it, if there's nothing to spread that sail, you can't move forward. But it's up to us to tilt to first bring that money in, that wind and that energy coming in, but then ensuring that what we do with it, how we tilt the sails, ensures that we end up the destination that we want to end up at. And not at the end of our life going, how the hell did I end up here? So you've got to find your big why. And I really realized this in my own life. Without a big why, you're not going to take the actions. You've got to really, really determine, why do you want money flowing in your life? Why do you want a successful business? Why do you want these things? Because those are the things that'll get you up every day, focusing. Sometimes doing maybe the boring stuff that needs to be done with money, the other actions. when you've got a big why, and often that first why will start with you, and that's really important, because especially as women, we have to learn how to put our own oxygen mask on first. Often we're taught in our society and through our cultures that as women tend to look after everybody else first, and that's incredibly honorable, but it's not loving. Because if you come from a depleted place in your own energy, your own finances, your time, you can't serve. You can't be the greatest partner, mother, daughter, business owner if you're depleted. So often our first why will be really about mastering ourselves, making sure we're in a place where we feel confident and supported. But then the why starts rippling out. It's about our family, our community. And I feel incredibly privileged to have got to the point now where I have more than enough for me. But I choose to still keep expanding my money and my wealth pots, because I'm now at a point where I can now expand my impact pot. I can give more to the charities that mean something to me. I can travel around the world and share what I've learned to hopefully enable others to experience the freedom of choice, the freedom of mind, that liberation that comes with not having to worry about this money stuff. So really get that big why. What is that vision? Make that vision hairy, scary, juicy, and audacious. Dream it. And then you've got to do it. You've got to take the action. And then you get to absolutely live it. So some of you might go, hey, well, why bother about this money stuff? You know, I'm having fun with my business. I've got enough. Or maybe it still feels a bit scary. And the tragedy is, despite a lot of people working so hard, doing so many things to bring money in, and trying to do the right thing in so many aspects of their life, 97% of people around the world will never achieve financial freedom. 2 out of 3 people will have to rely on their children or their family or the charity of strangers in order to support them financially at some point in their life. And less than 3% of the population are actually able to stop earning income actively and live the quality of life that they want. And to me, this is tragic. This is not the voyage I believe any of us are meant to be on. But we're not taught about this thing called money. And so most of us don't understand the component parts, and we just rely on hope. Now, hope is fantastic if you are shipwrecked at sea. It gives you something to hold on to. Maybe another ship will come past. But it's a disastrous financial plan. Please never, ever leave your financial well-being, something as so important as having money supporting you, leaving it just up to hope. You know, môre nog 'n dag. Maybe next week it'll be okay, or next year, or maybe that you'll marry someone or win the lottery. That is not what you want to do. That is not a captain at the ship of their helm, determining their own destiny. You know, there were some old money recipes of go and get a good job, and then at the end of it all, there was a pension. Those no longer exist. Those days are long, long gone. In fact, they never really existed. But most of us have never been taught what the new recipes are. And there's a small group of insiders, and it's my absolute passion to get more and more people to understand how to be that insider, how to change that destiny and really go and live the richest, juiciest feast of their life. So I just want to quickly share with you my story. It might be sort of, you go, oh, well, Anne, as you heard, you're a multimillionaire. It's easy for you to say you can do all those things. But it certainly wasn't that way. Do I feel comfortable speaking about money now and investing? And that's a hell of a lot better than I used to, but it wasn't always that way. You know, I'm a very average, everyday girl, South African. I grew up in KZN, so I'm a Zulu chick, and I'm number 5 of 6 kids. Very traditional family. Dad worked really hard to try and feed this horde. Mum worked hard to try and keep us alive and not kill each other. And as I've mentioned, we didn't really speak about the money stuff, but we were taught, you know, go and work hard, you know, don't waste not, want not. So a lot of those sort of things like that. I seem to have blown the mic. There we go, we're back again. And so that's all I knew. We really didn't speak about the money. There were a lot of hand-me-downs. And in my late teens, my father died young. And I got to watch my mother for the first time having to handle the day-to-day money stuff. as well as worrying about the small amount of money that had been left as a result of my dad dying, that how did she ensure that that money stayed and lasted? And, okay, I won't go near that one. I think that's the problem. How to make sure that that lasted. And suddenly I saw this whole other aspect of money, of vulnerability, of fear. And I looked around and I saw so many of her friends as well were in a very similar position, either through divorce or illness or never having got married. They were now in a position that there was this deep anxiety about money, but actually no one really knew who to turn to, who to trust. Could you trust that financial advisor? And this sense of vulnerability, and I vowed that I never ever wanted to be that vulnerable. I was never going to be in that position as a woman. So I was never going to be in that position as a woman of worrying and hoping at some point in my life, like I saw my mum do, hoping that she would run out before the money did. It sounds barbaric, but that's so many people's reality. And so I said, no, I'm going to master this money stuff. But I knew no better. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go and get a good degree. And I'll get a good job and then I'll be okay. So I went and studied civil engineering. Yes, that's like a good male's job, should earn well. And off I went, got my degree, and I thought, I've got this money stuff sussed. Money was flowing in. Suddenly I was being offered the credit cards, the student loan, the overdraft. I could get the car. I could get the outfit. That I thought it was just the way it was done. But more than that, I thought I needed to have all of those things to fit in, to be successful, to fit the image of what I believed success was. And I had so many hopes and dreams about the things I wanted to do and experience in my life. And it didn't take very long before I found myself in this big debt hole. I've even shown you a plastic kayak. I even went and got a bank loan to go and get a piece of Tupperware to go whitewater rafting down the Tugela River because I thought that would be fun. I mean, that's how little I knew about money, because I had no idea about the impact of consumer debt. And, okay, since we're all women in the room, sorry for the blokes, mostly women in the room, debt is like candida. You know, yeast can be great when it's expanding your bread, and we'll get to that, but it's, in terms of your wealth, it's not what you want to have. It really destroys it. It's this parasite. But I found myself in this big debt hole. And all of those dreams and hopes, I felt like maybe this is what they meant when they said, wait until you get into the real world. Did the real world mean that all that vision I had for my life had to be put in the bottom drawer, that I had to be sensible and practical? And now every day I was no longer working for me. I was working not only for the tax man, but for the car dealership, Edgar's, and all the others. And I realized, and I read a quote that said, if you're in a hole, you have to stop digging. You cannot do the same thing over and over, just hoping for a different result. You've got to take a different action. But firstly, you've got to believe that there is a different way. And I had to claim back my freedom and realize that my freedom, my life, the vision of what I wanted to live was more important than the short term, what I might feel rejection from people around me. And I decided to take radical action. And I started learning that there were actually strategies I could put in place. Anyway, long story short, I managed to get myself out of consumer debt in 18 months and had a lump sum over that suddenly I'd claimed back my freedom and I could go and travel. And I thought, fantastic, I've now sussed this money thing. I know what the answer is now. I must spend less than I earn, and I must save as much as I can, because then someday in the future I'll feel safe. So I did what I wanted to do, and I went and I wanted to travel. So I went over and I traveled and I got to Hong Kong, and I thought, wow, this is an incredible city. Maybe I can get a job here, and I did. And I started working in Hong Kong and living there, and money was flowing in again. I went, fantastic, now I've got it. I'm going to live on as little as I can, save as much as I can. And I was newly married at that stage. And lo and behold, all that had happened is I hadn't actually sorted out anything of my money stuff. It was still based on fear and anxiety, and I'd swung from this binging on money that I didn't have, believing that would make me feel successful and safe, to this form of money anorexia, that I thought if I could control me and my desires, and then I would be safe and okay. And if I could hold on to this money, and then again, sometime in the future, I could do the things that I really wanted when there was enough. The problem is I had no idea what enough was. I had no idea how to actually get that money working. And most of all, I had no idea how to have conversations with my partner, my husband, about my hopes and dreams, my money values, what we want to do with it. So it all just ended up being a lot of fighting. And I can remember a Tuesday very specifically, waking up on the bathroom floor, not waking up, but sitting on the bathroom floor, sobbing my eyes out in Hong Kong. And as both my marriage and the money walked out the door. So there I was, in my early 30s, feeling amazingly unsuccessful. And thought that was pretty spectacular. That didn't take long for me to lose all the money, lose a marriage, be in a foreign country. And initially I felt sorry for myself. I sat on that pity potty. But then I thought, no. When my father was dying, he had said to me, Anne, make sure you live a life of passion. Get out there. It goes so fast. Keep those dreams alive. Have those adventures. Just go for it. Do it. And I thought, well, I'm not doing that. And I thought there must be a place in between. There must be a place where I can have the adventures I want to live. I can do the things I want to do, but also feel that I'm confident about my money, that I don't have to spend it all and then some, that I can still keep some in my life. And I thought, well, hang on. Nobody pops out of the womb a financial genius. Nobody. It's a learned skill, just like anything else. Just like being an incredible business owner and recruiter and team leader is a learned skill. And where do you go? You go to somebody who's already done it before you. Pick up those books. So I went and I started reading and researching, and I started applying some of these strategies. But I held a commitment to my big why, to my vision, that I was going to live a great life. There was so much I wanted to contribute to, things I wanted to give back to, but I knew that I had to look after my own financial well-being before I could help anybody else. You can't help the poor. You can't help your family if you're depleted. And so I started that journey. And I just absolutely determined to just make something of my life. And I realized I had to know something, that there's a fundamental difference between saving and investing. All I'd been doing was holding on to the money, but I hadn't got it working for me. That's the difference. Investing is when you actually convert it into assets, those little things that can work for you. And I also had to find a way to make just managing money and investing and on day-to-day fun. So it didn't just bore me to tears and dreadful. And I didn't also want to carry around an OK Bazaars packet with my receipts all day long. There had to be a way that I could get on top of this money stuff and be a great custodian of it. And so I started that journey. And I tried loads of different things. I kissed various money frogs. Those are those get-rich-quick schemes, which didn't work, didn't fall into the prince. And I discovered, a bit like with health, the wealth there were a series of consistent habits, recipes that if I applied consistently in my life, my wealth started expanding. But more importantly, I was having an absolute ball on the way. And I really believe, sorry, let me just go back to that. And this is the difference for me about, and what I really sort of stand for now in my own life and for you. For me, is about a wealthy life is about having money which can serve you so you can get out there and live your purpose and live that greatest vision of your life. The money is a servant. It's an input. It is not the end. Well, it took me just 8 years from that day on that bathroom in Hong Kong to achieve my own financial freedom. And a bit like you, travel and adventure and seeing amazing places was high up in my value. I made sure I had an absolute ball. Because when I made that decision, you get creative and you make it happen. And I lived all over the world. I went and continued and lived in Australia. I lived in the States. I lived in London. Back in South Africa. I picked up another man this time. This time knew how to talk about money. So I picked up a new husband and learned how to ride a motorbike, dived and sailed all over the world, able to take my niece and nephews all on skiing holidays. All of this while I still worked as a salaried employee. Because this was also about this belief that we had that I had to invent something or create a big business that I sold. And I realized this is just about being a great leader to my money. So I share that story with you not to, woohoo, aren't I great, but hopefully to inspire you to say, No matter where you are, whether you're deeply in debt, whether you're already investing, whether you've got money flowing in, whether you're just starting out, or whether you're in your absolute wonderful golden years, there is no right or wrong time. It's never too late. If this ordinary Zulu chick can do it, anybody can, because it really is much more simple. Now, I've used this word financial freedom a lot. So what are we talking about? Because often with money, it gets all airy-fairy. So let's land the plane and get specific. Because the thing is, when you start off on that voyage, if you have no idea where you're going, how the hell do you know where to steer that ship? How do you know where to turn those rudders? So you're financially free when you have enough assets in your asset pot that can earn money for you and pay for your chosen lifestyle without you having to earn actively if you so choose. This is the key point. Now, a lot of people focus on, well, and how big does that money pot need to be? And we'll get to that. But they forget the other side of the equation, whereas, see, we get to determine how big our financial freedom pot needs to be. Because a lot of people, Anne will say, Anne, is 1 million enough? Is it 2 million? Is it 20 million? And I'll say, I haven't got a clue. Not because I'm being facetious. I don't know what it is for you. And for you, because our financial freedom is unique as each and every one of us are. If you want to have the 13 islands, the 12 yachts, the 8 Learjets, and Gordon Ramsay cooking you breakfast every Sunday, you're going to have a big pot. But if for your dream is to have a cottage in the Karoo where you can do your oil painting and you've got your goat and you're growing your herbs, it's going to be a very different size pot. And this is so important for each and every one of us to really get clear on what is a wealthy life for us. Media, the television, magazines are constantly telling us what a rich life is. But when we can claim back our own identity, when we can claim back what wealthy is for us and we get really clear on that, then we start being the master of our own ship. Then we can set the course. How many of you, just as a quick show of hands, know what your financial freedom number is? Know how big your asset pot needs to be in order for you to not have to work and have income for life and beyond? Okay, this is really interesting. Have a look around the room, because this is absolutely indicative of just about wherever I speak in the world. So just understand, if you don't know what your destination is, any road will do. And how the hell do you start on a journey if you don't know where you're going? And I believe this is one of the fundamental reasons why most people flounder around in the dark when it comes to their own financial well-being. Because we just don't know where to start. So how do you start putting a plan together if you don't know what that destination is? And that leaves this unbelievable, vulnerable anxiety that can gnaw away day in, day out, because we just don't know what that is. But it really, really is straightforward to calculate. And it is in my book. So let's understand, what are these ingredients that we're dealing with? So most people will focus on, when we talk about money, they'll think about income, the money coming in. But income is only one of 4 key aspects of money that you need to master and understand, because they work together to create wealth. So your income and expenses work together in your income statement, and that's the fluid part of money coming into your life, going out of your life. But the key areas where actual wealth is created is what's called your balance sheet. These are your assets and your liabilities. And you really have to know the difference between an asset and liability, because a lot of people spend their life collecting liabilities, believing they're assets, but they're actually depleting them. So simply put, an asset is just something that causes money to flow into your life. So your assets have a direct relationship with your income. They can cause income to flow into your life. Whereas a liability is anything that causes money to flow out of your life. Like your home. I'm going to hate to break it for some of you in the room. Your home is not an asset. As long as you're living in your home, it actually costs you money. It can't bring money into your life. But a lot of people keep thinking if they keep moving to the bigger home, then they'll be okay. So what happens? We need to understand how money flows through our lives, because this gives us an indication about whether we're creating money hell or wealth heaven. See, for a lot of people, what I call the break-evens, they focus on getting the income coming in, just like I did when I started. I thought everything was about if I could get a good income. So the income flows in, and then it all flows out the back door in the expenses. Yep. Anyone know anybody like that? Yeah. these break-evens, but we actually live in a society that almost makes us believe that break-even is the name of the game. You know, as soon as some money comes in, maybe you make another sale, it's quickly, oh, what am I going to spend it on? How quickly can we get rid of money in our lives? It's as though money is so dirty, we've got to get rid of it. We don't want it to stay around. And for break-evens, they honestly believe, if I could just earn more, if I could just make that next sale, then it will all be okay. But they're not seeing that the problem is in their money flow pattern. But what often happens from break-evens, they then discover this lovely thing called credit and go, whoa, I can make my money go further. But not understanding that actually what they're doing, they're robbing their future. Not understanding this absolute incredible ingredient called compounding. But compounding has no value judgment. It doesn't go, wow, you're such a nice person. I'm only going to work for you when you've got assets, and I won't work against you when you've got liabilities. No. It's like the law of gravity. It just works for whoever works best. And so people start ending up filling up this liability drawer, getting the car loan, the student loan, going to overdraft, getting the store card, not fully understanding the impact of what that's really going to cost them. Because you see, your liabilities cause your expenses to increase. So the money pumps out of the life. And again, these borrow mores believe if I could just earn a little bit more, then I'll be okay. And then you get, let's call this sort of middle class, who suddenly realize, no, you know, I need to save some money. I need to be sensible. There's this thing called a pension or a retirement annuity. Maybe through your work, I need to start putting some money away. And often, will believe that, you know, but I'm not good at this money stuff. I know nothing about finance or investing. And so I'm just going to trust that lovely financial planner who's going to come, there's such a nice bloke, came to my house and sold me this lovely product and said, don't worry your pretty little head, it's all going to be sorted, just put this money away. The tragedy about the TV dinner money cooks, and I call them TV dinner because it's like these pre-packaged, ready-made meals that you think are great, but they're full of all these bad ingredients for you. They might seem convenient, but they're incredibly, incredibly bad for your wealth. They're very, very good for the person that sold it to you, but not for you. But again, from ignorance, and I was absolutely in this boat because I didn't know any better and I didn't understand the costs and everything that goes in it. So those are some of the patterns, and this key one to break both of those patterns is you've got to start managing your money. You've got to give your money leadership. And one of the first key recipes I learned was I had to, on a daily basis, but when I say daily basis, I had to bring money into my life and give it great direction. Like you as a leader of your team, you've got to give your team direction. You've got to tell them what you want from them. You've got to train them. You've got to task them. You've got to give them attention. And this is exactly what starting to give, focusing on what your money's doing. You've got to know what your money's doing. You've got to know what's happening in those expenses and liability drawers so that you can give it direction. And then it's about carving it up so that you're making sure you live a great life today, but also for your medium term and your long-term future. Absolutely key. So the thing is, you've got to get intimate with your money. You've got to know what it's doing. You've got to just get comfortable with what's going on. You've got to open those envelopes and see what's happening in the bank account. Because one of the things I've discovered on my journey is the universe, God, whatever resonates with you, I truly believe has a principle that you get more when you show you can manage what you've got. And when you can be a great leader to your money, when you can manage it with integrity and direction, more flows in, just like your team. But part of the next key component was you have to pay yourself first. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this principle, pay yourself first. And it can be a real one that, it's one of those ones we can all say, yeah, I know that. But do we really know it? And as women, I've found working with thousands of women around the world now, this is often one of the hardest things. To actually give yourself, to love yourself enough, to grow your own self-esteem and self-worth, to say that the first bill I pay, the first amount of money from that slice that comes in, that first slice that goes off, gets to stay in my life. It gets paid to me and it goes into my freedom fund. See it as a freedom tax. It's the most important bill. You've got to allow some of that money to stay in your life so that it can then start working for you. Because that's when it starts triggering this thing that Einstein supposedly called the eighth wonder of the world, this thing called compounding. The good yeast, the yeast that makes things expand. Because when you truly start understanding compounding, yep, oh my God, I fall in love with compounding more and more every day. Now, how many of you are team leaders and have got recruits in your downline? There we go. How many of you are wanting to be recruiting and you really understand the importance of that leverage in your business? Well, when you really get to see that money and allowing some of that money to stay in your life are like the ultimate recruits. If you took just 10% of all of the money that flowed in your life from whatever form and you invested that in an average stock market investment vehicle, that money will earn twice the amount that you do in your lifetime. Twice. That's like cloning two of you. They're the ultimate recruits. Because better yet, that money doesn't need an income. It doesn't need a holiday. It doesn't have to go on the cruise with you. It doesn't need any shoes. So you get to keep all of that money. So effectively, when you pay yourself first, when you allow that money to stay in your life, you're recruiting these incredible elves, this incredible downline that can work for you. So how many of you have got kids or grandkids and would love to ensure that they are financially okay? Great. Now that's really, really, noble, and for a lot of people, that's, why we do what we do. And so let's take this as an example. If you take a coffee, I'm just going to use a 30 Rand cappuccino. There's a lot more in Paris, believe me, there. And you say, okay, that coffee, that cappuccino a day, that's doable. You take that coffee a day, 210 Rand a week, 920 Rand a month, and you invest that in a simple index tracker. It's tracking the stock market. It's a low-cost investment vehicle, and you stop putting that money aside when that kid is 18. So when they're born to when they're 18, you go, I want to make sure that they're financially okay. That money would have grown to 610,000 Rand. Now you go, well, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And after all, you want them to go and experience their life. So instead of handing over that 610, you just let that money do what money wants to do, which is grow and work for you, but only if you give it the right direction. And so that 610, without another cent being added, when that kid is 50, it'll be over 17 million Rand. Pretty phenomenal. So even if they've really messed up, that's okay, there's a nest egg. But you've now taught them through your actions, because our children and our family and our friends learn from what we do, not what we say. You've taught them how to be great wealth chefs. So they leave that money because they've realized they can leave a legacy. Just 10 more years, that 17 million would have become 49 million. This is the power of compounding. And most of us don't truly understand what it can do. But you have to start with the seed. And the thing is, it needs that first seed of money, that paying yourself. But then it needs these two key wealth spices. The first is time. You've got to get going. A lot of people say to me, Anne, when should I start investing? And I'll say, yesterday. The second best time is today. You've got to keep that money in your life, and you've got to get it working for you. And the second spice is understanding that rate of return. So let's look. You've sorted out your kids now. Pretty phenomenal. But as I said, you've got to put on your own oxygen mask first. And so let's say, and I'm just using round numbers, you take 2,500 Rand a month. You invest it at an average stock market return. The stock markets around the world have averaged about 9.8 to 10.5. So we're going to use a 10% rate of return since God was a lad. That is the rate of return you can pretty much count on from the stock market over time. You invest that over your average working career. At the end of an average working career, that would result in 32 million Rand. But in fact, you would have only put 1.4 million in. And this is a key distinction, because for a lot of people, when they first work out how big that pot needs to be, maybe it's 15 million, maybe it's 10 million, it can feel like the top of Mount Everest. But the thing is, you don't do it on your own. We understand the power of teams. We understand the power of community. And especially as women, when we understand compounding, money is going to make 90% of that. It's going to climb most of that mountain for you, but only if you get it working for you. The next key one is time, and this is so important. So let's say you go, more is nog 'n dag, or you know what, I've got to sort everybody out first. A lot of what women do, I've been there, I've got to sort out the kids, sort out the partner, the parents. Then I'll get to look after myself. So you delay. So let's say you delayed 15 years in an average working career before you start putting that money away. That 32 million would only end up being 5.7 million. You would lose 27 million, over 80% of the potential of that money, but you would only have saved yourself R500,000. That is the impact of delay and not getting going and not getting it working for you. And then the final one is your rate of return, the interest rate. This is the rate at which your team, these little money elves, work for you, and it's so important. Now, I use a 10% average. Let's say you decide to really master this thing called money, understand through leverage and other tools, through different asset groups, how to get just 3% more rate of return. That would turn that 32 million, no more money has been put in from you, no more time, just getting money working harder, would turn into 92 million rand. Not a bad little nest egg and lump that you could do something with. Now, if you get 3% less, that comes back to one of those TVD dinner products where your money's not working hard for you, where it's working hard for somebody else, that's chewed up in fees and costs that you don't know about just from naivety and ignorance. That would only end up at 11 million. And this is the tragedy for so many people. Ignorance is expensive. It really will cost you your wealth. And I'm just so grateful that I chose that journey and through persevering learned what I learned. So the key distinction here is income is not the most important asset component of your wealth feast at all. Your assets are. You've got to shift your focus from what you earn to what you're doing with it and the assets that you're creating. So if we can just all quickly stand up. We're going to do a bit what Adam did on stage earlier. I want you to grab your assets. I want you to really remember this is where your focus is. I want you to be focusing on that bottom. Give it a good squeeze and remember that assets are the most important thing. Fantastic. Sit down. This is where you need to shift your focus because it's your net worth, which is then your net worth is the difference of your assets versus your liabilities. This is your key indicator you want to be focusing on, not just what's coming in, because this shows you the net result of what's happening in your money world, that whole money flow pattern. And so recipe, which is in the book, and the key one was then about how to learn that you've made the decision, some of that money is staying in your life, you're allowing that money to be converted into assets, is ensuring that that yeast expands so that it's working hard for you. Really, really key to learn how to do that. So let's quickly cover what are the kind of assets we want to be stocking in this pantry. The stocks and shares, the stock market. So many people are really fearful about the stock market and go, oh, well, I heard about so-and-so who lost all their money, or it sounds scary, or those are only for those men in grey suits and silver hair. I was really intimidated when I started off. And I'd read some of these books which would just bore me to tears. And I honestly thought this was a world that wasn't meant to be for me. And so much jargon. But it is such an important asset group. And so you need to start getting invested in the stock market. And it really, really, really is straightforward and simple in something like a simple index tracker. Then there's investment property. As I said, your personal home is not an asset. But this is property, commercial, residential, industrial, where other people pay you rent for the privilege of using that. So this is starting to get these passive income flows. You see, these things can earn you income. Then, which you all know very, very well, are passive income businesses. Amazing things like direct selling and multi-level marketing businesses, where you start understanding there's two components to it. Yes, there's the act of earning, where you go out and sell. But the real asset in your business is when you can recruit, when you have a downline, and then that's where this flow starts coming in and building aside. Fantastic, fantastic component. And then the final asset. And on my journey, and I discovered this a little bit later on my journey, but I truly now know that the greatest asset I have in my asset drawer is myself. It is my energy, my focus, what I choose to do with my time. And the more I'm able to master myself, my mind, my focus, hold on to my dreams and my visions, take action, really get far more efficient and effective in every area of my life. That's when the magic happens. And so I choose to constantly keep reinvesting in mentors and teachers to keep expanding me. Because when I'm got more skills, when I'm more capable, then I'm a better leader to all my other assets and to all areas in my life. I can grow my confidence and create the life that I really want. So keep nurturing you as well. When you really see yourself as your greatest asset, making sure that you nurture yourself, you pay yourself first. That is when the rest expands, and keep growing. And, you know, a key area on this side for me was when I really realized the importance of mentors. When you can stand on somebody else's shoulders. I mean, you've got incredible mentors in this business. And when you can be a mentor to others, because we're not meant to do these journeys alone. That vision that you have, those dreams you have, the things that you know you're on this life to do, you are not meant to do it alone. So don't try and do it alone. It's a very slow and lonely journey. And so a key recipe for me, which is recipe number 5, which I expand, which is really about the self-mastery. Learning to master my mind. I went and trained to be an NLP, neuro-linguistics programming. I'm an NLP trainer. I went and did firewalking instructing. Yes, I can take thousands of people in a room across a firewalk, and don't worry, we're not going to go out and lunch and do that just yet. But these are metaphors, not besides being cool party tricks. None of us realize just quite what our potential is. And the more we can work on it, the absolute better it can be. So this is all about focusing on getting more of your energy, your time and focus to expand that asset drawer, to get that money absolutely flowing in your life. So there is so much more and so much I'd love to share with you, but unfortunately it's just a short amount of time. And I just really want you to just reinvigorate, hold on to that vision, hold on to that dream that you have and know that you can. But you need to then commit to learn. You need to commit to take action. And you need to actually hold that vision as the most important thing in your life and go, I am determined to master money so that I can go and do the things that I'm meant to do. I'm meant to make the change. You know, imagine if Annique had never chosen to also become a great businesswoman. She needed to master money. She needed to see how that directed so she could create this incredible legacy. Money is such an important ingredient. Master it, bring it into your life so that you can leave the legacy you know you're meant to have, that you can make the impact in your family, your community, the world. And I'm incredibly passionate about the role of women. I do believe, you know, as custodians of this world, the next chapter is absolutely about us providing incredible leadership and mastering this area of our life. We've come so far in so many areas. It's about time we also took the liberation in this area so that we can heal a lot of this world and contribute and make it a significant better place, a more peaceful place, a place with less crime and poverty. And it all starts with us and us choosing to see that vision and doing whatever it takes. So thank you so much for your time here. And, you know, Angelique mentioned one of my signature training program is Financial Freedom University. And if any of you know that this is an area that you absolutely want support in, you want to learn how to get those assets working for you, you want to understand that there is enough, get clear on what your journey is, know exactly what your financial freedom number is, I want to invite you to join me on the journey of financial freedom. And yeah, Financial Freedom University is actually closed at the moment. It's only going to be opening for registration. I open it once a year for registration. But I said, you know what, I'm going to open it for an incredible group here so that I can take you on this journey. And it is an online program with videos and audios, which we go through 10 modules. Really implement this in your life, because the thing is, wealth's not a one-hit event. It's about us mastering these skills, bring it in. It's for life. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so in Financial Freedom University, we cover all of the foundations, really get clear on what's happening in your money. We get squeezing the juice. You get your own financial freedom unique plan, so you know where you're going. That we break free of any consumer debt, if that's in your life. And then you learn about these different asset classes, the stock market, investing in property, and seeing how you can implement in your life in a much easier way than maybe you ever believed. We look at things like insurances, understand the roles of wills, and all of these components so that you can just sleep at night knowing that you've got the plan in place so that you can get on and living that highest version of your life. So I'm opening registration today. You can join me and my team outside if it feels like a fit for you, if it feels like something you're wanting to get the support So in addition to the online program, there's also a 3-day live event which is held in Johannesburg and the UK. You can come to either, but Johannesburg might be closer for you in November, where we really, really deep dive and go into this. You'll get a ticket as well to that. And just to get you started, I also have a great 30-day money makeover program and a getting out of debt program, which I've bundled together, so you really will get all the tools and support you need. And mostly, you'll get to have me walking side by side with you for a whole year of coaching with me and Q&A. So usually it sells for just around 13,000 Rand for the program, and you also have access for life. But today, it's 8,000 Rand if it feels like a yes for you. So come and speak to me and my team, and we'll get you going. Just know that we also do an absolute 30-day money-back guarantee. If you choose that it's not for you, and this is so important, I think you as businesses, to allow people to have a test, see if something's for them. And if it's not for them, then they can say no. And please get a copy of the Well Chef book. It really has all the recipes in it. And just so you know, 100% of the royalties of the book goes to an incredible organization called the Small Enterprise Foundation, which uses this incredible seed of money together with financial literacy to help pro-poor women in the Limpopo area and the Eastern Cape to start an enterprise, to start a seed of like what you have, so they can claim back their dignity and claim back their future with that. So this really shows that, you know, when we can master our money, it's not just about us. There is such a thing as a win-win-win. When we expand ourselves, everything expands around us. So thank you so much for all of your time.
Thank you very much. Can we have another round of applause, Anne? Thank you very, very much. I really believe that what Anne has done today is she's taken a lot of the mysticism around money and how to make money out of the equation. It really is about passive income, residual income, annuity income, and what you do with it. And what Anne is doing today is she is giving away for free this Financial Freedom University course to one lucky individual, and also 3 books. So I'll get the 3 books, and Anne, if you would like to draw a ticket, in fact, draw 4 tickets, and we'll do them one after the other, and you can hand them over. I'll read the tickets. There we go.
One more.
Okay, thank you very, very much. You got 2, and now you have 1. So here we go. So the lucky winners of the tickets are, the first one, 03199 for the university course. 03199.
Who's joining me for a year?
Do we have 03199? Here we go. We have a lucky winner. Congratulations. Thank you very much. And then the next winner, 03515. 03515 for one of Anne's books. Do we have 03515? There we go. We have another winner. Congratulations. The next one, 03136. 03136. We have another winner. Congratulations for another one of Anne's books. And last but not least, 03324. 03324. It's a pleasure. 03324. And then there is a little hamper with Annique products that we have for Anne. So, and what we'll say is thank you for making our wallets look beautiful and our purses. We'll make you look beautiful. Thank you very, very much.